Warwick, thanks for joining me. Let's start with the Santa Barbara Gold Project in Colombia, where the company has achieved its maiden gold sale, having received gold sales proceeds of approximately 193,000 Aussie dollars following the maiden gold pour in January. Now that you've achieved this milestone, what opportunities does it open up for Aguia in terms of cash flow?
Well, look, the main point with the announcement this week is that we are selling gold, we are making money. It's no longer what we're going to do, we are doing it. The level of production at the moment is still at the small scale. We would probably be doing about 15 tonnes of material through the plant per day. Over the next few weeks, that's going to expand to 30, and within a couple of months, it'll be 50 tonnes per day. Now, at 15 tonnes per day, we anticipate a cash flow of around about $300,000 Aussie a week. That's cash profit. It'll scale up from that, and you can do your own numbers. By the time it gets to 50 tonnes per day, end of June, sometime in July, it will be quite a significant profit margin each week. I'm not allowed to say exactly how much because the silly stock exchange rules saying I'm not allowed to give guidance. So I have to unfortunately leave it to you guys out there to do a few numbers. But the main thing is we've gone through that commissioning phase. We've solved all the problems with the plant. We've solved the problems with the water. Now, the only bottleneck that we will work through is how quickly we can ramp up to the delivery of the ore from the mine into the mill. And that's just a process of development, putting on additional mining crews. It's happening.
So now that you've finalised the first sale of gold, what is your strategy in terms of scaling up the existing and expanded levels of gold production?
Well, the first step is to fill the plant up. That means getting increased productivity out of the underground mining. We've just also announced today that we're looking at taking the production capacity beyond that initial target of 50 tonnes per day to 75 tonnes per day. And that's through the addition of a flotation circuit, which effectively beneficiates the material before it goes into the recovery tanks, the edge of tanks. By 50%, we can upgrade or expunge 50% of the material that's not sulfidic, that doesn't have gold in it. So once we were looking at 10, 12,000 ounces per annum production, we could easily be 50% above that. But just be careful again. The caution is we're not allowed to say what we're going to do because the ASX rules. But the stock exchange has got a bit of a problem. We're reporting gold now, sales. They seem to think we can't have a mine unless you've got a JORC resource. Well, tell me where the gold's coming from. We're producing gold and cash flow from a mine. Of course it's a mine.
Now, I understand you're aiming to increase capacity to 50 tonnes per day by July and potentially beyond, but in terms of production, can you just talk me through the types of grades you've been able to recover to date?
Well, the grade to date has been around about that 20 grams per tonne recovered. I think looking at the tail coming out the back end of the plant, we're probably achieving about 98% recovery. You start at 30 grams per tonne in situ. That's the ore body you can assay underground. Once you start mining, you suffer a bit of mining dilution, you suffer a bit of metallurgical dilution, recovery issues. 20 grams is what we started out intending to get. It looks like we're getting it now. Really, the lifting of production from these levels is simply a function of getting more mining crews trained up, adjusting the methodology. We've been mining 1.2 metre rounds at the moment. When you develop, you blast 1.2 metres, bog the ore out, and move on to the next one. We're going to be increasing that from 1.2 to currently 1.8, getting to 2.4, and finally 3 metre rounds. What that does is just increases the deliverability of the ore from the mine. And that'll always be a constraint on how much we can put through the plant. The plant's capable of doing 50 tonnes per day plus. We've just got to get that ore out of the ground.
And finally, you've also commenced a 25-hole diamond drilling campaign, the first at Santa Barbara since you acquired the project. What are you targeting here, and how will this feed into the potential for a maiden JORC resource later this year?
Well, we all know that we haven't drilled it yet. This 25-hole program will be the first drilling program, but we shouldn't look at it as being exploration drilling. It's really brownfields drilling because we've got a 300-metre long adit that we've developed the ore body along. We know the orientation of the ore body. We know the width. We know which direction it's going. So it's almost procedural. It can drill above and below, and we know what we're going to hit. In addition to the main vein that we're mining now, we're pretty confident that we're going to find additional, perhaps smaller, but additional veins as we put the holes down. Veins that may not have outcropped and been obvious. We're optimistic that we'll find some there. Now, if you look at the ounces per vertical metre that we're experiencing, 25 drill holes, it's quite possible that we could be establishing a resource of 50 to 100,000 ounces. Now, that gives us, on a conversion to a JORC resource, we expect that'll give us a mine life at least 5 years at this level of production. But here's another way of looking at it. If we get 100,000 ounces and we experience the $400 an ounce cash production costs that we're experiencing now, that gives you an implied valuation increase of 280 million US. So for outlaying $1 million on drilling and assaying and doing some calculations, we could very quickly get to a position where we've got a JORC resource, an implied valuation increase of 280 million US. Now, speculative, got to be cautionary about that, but that's the sort of leverage we're looking at. And once we prove 100,000 ounces, the ore body will go down hundreds of metres. We expect it'll go down hundreds of metres lower down. And that's when you really start to get some leverage. The first thing is to prove that we could make money. We're doing that now. The second thing is find out just how big this beast is. What's the ultimate potential? It's going to be very exciting next 2 or 3 months as we deliver both on the drilling front and expanded production levels.
Thanks, Warwick. Appreciate the update and all the best.
Thanks, Alex.